Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of Ryan on Gaming. This one is covering the recent news story that just came out that we're not going to wait for LTPS to talk about because this one's kind of important, deserves its own video, and that's the recent announcement that Sony has basically formed an entirely new corporation, or an entirely new company, I guess, a new subsidiary of Sony Corporation as a whole, which is what they're calling Sony Interactive Entertainment, which more or less, and this is going to be me repeating so many different things, it's going to kind of confuse you all if you don't know Sony Corporation and all their subsidiaries and all the kind of company names and everything, but we all know that PlayStation essentially lives under Sony Computer Entertainment, and some of the services that PlayStation provides and has, like PSN and things like that, that lives under Sony Network Entertainment. So basically, both of these companies are going to be housed under one roof, which is Sony Interactive Entertainment, and these are more or less, I'm assuming, I mean, they're still legally using all these phrases, but more or less, I think over time they're going to be phasing out the idea of Sony Computer Entertainment, phasing out the idea of Sony Network Entertainment, because they are just putting everything under one roof now, which is Sony Interactive Entertainment. And there's also a pretty major restructuring with some key people inside the industry, inside the company as well. A few people changing roles around, some people getting new titles, some people having the same job, same title. But what this is all kind of really boiling down to, and what makes this really important, is that Sony's kind of really what we've been talking about for a while now, right? Whenever I say, PlayStation's doing really well, I mean, PS4 has been doing super well. The PlayStation division as a whole has been making a lot of money for Sony Corporation as a whole. We all know Sony Corporation has been having some tough times financially for the past few years, and the CEO of Sony, Kaz Hirai, has been really trying to do a number of things to turn it around. But I always say, PlayStation's that one division that is really kind of at the forefront for Sony. So, of course, Sony's going to be investing more time and money into it. And that's definitely going to be the case here because they're doing this whole new kind of rebranding and restructuring with Sony. Putting all this under Sony Interactive Entertainment is a big deal because most notably where they're going to be having their headquarters. So Sony Interactive Entertainment is going to be at a new location in San Mateo, California. And that's where basically everything PlayStation's going to happen, I guess. I mean, we don't know all the details just yet, but more or less, like, that is their new roof, their new home, and their base of operations. And Sony's still going to have some locations, they're still going to have some home bases in London and Tokyo. But more or less, this is PlayStation changing its, I guess, home turf, for lack of a better phrase, I guess. That's why this news story is kind of really important under the surface of it. It's just that PlayStation, we've known for a while now, is a Japanese company. You know what I'm saying? It's Sony Corporation is a Japanese company. At heart, it is Japan. And if you just see kind of the recent times and the fact that the Japanese market is getting weaker and weaker for consoles, the Western market is flourishing for consoles. Of course, just the attitude of game development in general is we're seeing less and less JRPGs, less and less Japanese oriented video games, and we're seeing more Western stuff. Like, that is just completely what's in your face, right? Western, Western, Western. And how many years ago it would have been unheard of to have an American man making being responsible for the next PlayStation, which was the case with PlayStation 4. Of course, PS1, PS2, PS3, PSP, these machines were all developed very much so under the forefront of Japanese control. Under the control of, Sony Corporation, which is, again, their Japanese headquarters. Ken Kutaragi, the father of PlayStation, he was the architect for all those PlayStations. Moving forward with PlayStation Vita and PlayStation 4, Mark Cerny, an American man, became the forefront of those machines. Again, this is something that would have been entirely unheard of, but Sony finally kind of just let up with that attitude, I guess, and let these things happen, The company is completely going into an entirely new direction where it was birthed from that country and is really kind of moving in a new direction, which is, of course, more profitable for them, which is good. So I guess the one thing we'll also mention is the restructuring. Like I mentioned earlier, some key people, a part of Sony, are now having some different positions. This is where it'll get a little confusing if you didn't know the family tree already. But we all know Andrew House was the Sony Computer Entertainment president and CEO. He is still basically going to be president and CEO global of Sony Interactive Entertainment. But some of the different changes, I guess, is that Sean Layden, who was Sony Computer Entertainment America president and CEO, he is now Worldwide Studios. He he's going to be leading Worldwide Studios. Shuhei Yoshida, we all know, was president of Worldwide Studios. This has not changed. He is still he is also working Worldwide Studios, but basically Shuhei Yoshida is now going to report to Sean Layden. So Sean Layden is going to be basically the director in that sense, and Shuhei is still going to assume the same responsibilities he has had. Masayasu Ito is hardware engineering and operations now. John Kodera, product and business management. Also taking Sony system network and engineering and operation, and Andrew House is also taking on global partner development and relations. Jim Ryan, who was Sony Computer Entertainment president or Sony Computer Europe president and CEO, he's now global sales and marketing. So yeah, they're really moving people around, and I mean, again, this is like on the surface it seems like, oh, you know, this is just them changing it up a little bit or something like that. But again, under the surface, there's a lot of meaning to this, and that's that. You know, this has some major significance in how the company is going to operate. Now, realistically, I have no clue what's going to become of this. You know, but it's just one of those things where you know it's a big deal, but of course you're not going to really see or feel the benefits to it, I guess. I mean, they're still going to probably operate as they normally would without, you know, consumers realizing it, or at the very least, people like us that like to follow these things. But the company's definitely doing some new things, and they're more than likely doing it for the better because they know PlayStation is a big part of why Sony Corporation is doing as well as it's doing right now. That's pretty much it. If there's anything else we didn't talk about or cover up, you know, we'll cover it up and Let's Talk PlayStation this Friday. But you know, if you have a topic that you'd like to submit that wasn't necessarily a news story, but maybe just some random topic. Hey, Ryan, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? Maybe you should write it in the comments below, because if it's a good idea, I'm going to record a video about it, and then I'm going to post it on the internet, on this YouTube channel. You're already here. You know where to look for it. That about does it for me, and I'll see you all in my next video. Take it easy.